Good evening, folks. It's Rick of the Madison County News Network. Just want to let you guys know we are going live here at the City Council meeting. Tonight, they're going to be talking about the ordinances that are tied to the water stuff and everything. So just want to kind of let you know we are here. We are live. We've got a really good seat. I think our audio, our internet stuff, all worked out. We've been really hard working at this, and I think we're going to be doing just fine here. So you should be able to watch this tonight either on our website, on our YouTube, in the trade and barter section, or on our website. Right now we've got 4 channels working for it. There's going to be a total of 15 of them eventually. But just to kind of let you guys know, they're getting ready to have a meeting about some things that are going to affect all of us here. So just kind of wanted to make sure that we came out here and we came live to make sure that we covered everything. So one day I actually did the pledge and everything. I am going to, make sure we participate and all that type of stuff. So hang in here with us. Feel free to check in and out. Drop a comment, share this around social media and everything. The TikTok integration, so it's actually working where the TikTok integration is actually able to watch it on the website simultaneously at the same time too. That's been the one that's been the problem child, but definitely live on YouTube, Facebook, and right here on the website too. So you can see it's kind of a busy house in here tonight. We're about 80 hours worth of coding time that went into making this a possibility to be able to live stream simultaneously at all these at the same time too. So just to kind of let you know that. I am actually going to try to figure out how I can actually see the comments at the same time too. There we go. They're getting ready to start, folks.
I would like to now call the regular meeting of the Common Council of Madison, Indiana, Thursday, December 8th, 2022 to order. We will have the invocation by Councilwoman Cole, pledge allegiance by Councilman Diaz, and please stand. First, I want to thank you for the holiday season. First, I want to thank you for sending your son here on earth for us. There are a lot that are sick right now, God, all kinds of various different things. I just pray you be with them and comfort them as they heal from this. And right now, personally, I just want to pray for my sister and her family as they are suffering the loss of their fire department in Grayson, Kentucky. So I just pray for them as they are going about their day in his name. In Jesus' name I pray.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Council Bell. Council Cole. Council Freeman.
Here.
Council Bibb. Council Mears.
Here.
Council Stevenson. Council Dixon.
Here.
Council Newman. President.
I appreciate it.
So we will now have, everybody has received the minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes that we have received? Okay, Madam Clerk, is reading, separate,
Madam President, I make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes from
Councilor Holt.
I'm sorry.
I know.
Yes, yes.
Councilor Freeman.
Yes.
Councilor Bibb.
Yes.
Councilor Muir.
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson.
Yes.
Counselor Dixon. Counselor Newman.
Yes.
President Groom.
Yes. Minutes from the regular meeting, November the 10th, have been seconded.
Madam President, I'd like to introduce the minutes we approved from the November 17th.
Second, I would like to point out that
Counselor Bill.
We're voting on the November 17th meeting minutes.
Oh, yeah, I thought you heard.
Yes.
Sorry. Counselor Holt.
yes.
Counselor Freeman.
Yes.
Counselor Bibb.
No.
Counselor Muir.
Yeah.
Counselor Stevenson.
Yes.
Counselor Dixon.
Yes.
Counselor Newman.
Yes.
President Groom.
Yes. Special meeting, November 17th, minutes have been approved. Is it there in communication with the clerk?
Council President, good to see that you recovered from COVID. You have in front of you the monthly marketing and business development information. We're running about 15 leads a month, which is about where we ran last year. We're a little bit ahead of that. But the most important information that's contained in this report for your consideration this evening is the spreadsheet. If you look at the last page of the spreadsheet, you notice that there's a significant jump as far as projected return on investment from 98% to 120%. And that's directly related to the projects that you'll be considering in this meeting later this evening. So we're showing projected $210 million of revenue from combined projects in this report over the next 10 years. Questions?
Any questions from the council? I have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
It's not totally related. But if I can know, because I got asked, but I think people over at Liberty.
Sure.
Do you know what's going on at the Taco Bell tilt sharing place? by chance?
No, I don't, but I'm going to find out. You're the third or fourth
Okay,
person that's
yeah,
asking.
because I'm on the board there, I was asked, so I thought, well.
It's an important question.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll find out later tonight. Oh, okay.
I
Great.
figured if it was anything that needed to be approved, or I would hear about it anyway, but
It is somewhat of an event center. People can rent and have.
not that one, down from that. You're talking about the 2-in-1 at the old bank. I'm talking about the
Yes.
Taco Bell. Yeah.
We may have to ask, we may have to ask Tim a little bit.
They own both of them?
I don't know. He owned the Taco Bell.
Okay.
We'll find out.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. Any other questions?
Any questions from the audience for Mr. Wing?
Sure.
Saying none.
If you guys have any questions, you can feel free to drop them in the comments and I can ask them.
Questions from the audience? Okay, it's time to replace or reappoint our council's representatives to the ARC.
This is the county council meeting.
I do know
The
that
city
Mr.
council meeting, I'm
Dean
sorry, city
and
council.
Mr. Washington are here, and I'd like to recommend that they both stay on the ARC as representatives for the council. I just would like everybody to know that these two young men are both engineers. Not engineers, though.
Second.
They are doing a great job for us on that committee. And so you say you second? Okay. So they moved in second?
Do you want me to take a roll call, or do you just want a unanimous consent?
Well, if there's no, it is united unless there was some other people that applied. I'm just keeping it proper.
And I assume they.
And there wasn't any, so.
Mr. Washington, would you like to say anything? Mr. McGee?
I just want to thank the council for the last
You
year.
have to stand up, Mike.
Mr. Martin, do you want it?
Yes. Awesome.
Hi, Danny McGee, 1718 West 21st Street. I am the vice president on the ARC. And I would like to say I thank the council for appointing me to this position for the last year. It's truly been a good time and bad times, but overall, we have come to some
agreements throughout this. Hopefully, you'll fund me again for next year, and we can still move forward with improving the city.
I appreciate you and the communication that you've had with, at least me personally, that I knew with the rest of that. I think that's been greatly appreciated. Thank you for that.
I also would like to thank the council for my appointment. Of course, I've learned a lot. I've researched a lot and learned a lot of things. And council still want to put in as much of my experience to try to move Anderson forward.
So, do you want to vote?
I would not make a motion that we accept him by acclamation.
Okay, we have to do, Councilman Stevenson on the Economic Development Commission.
So I'd like to state I'm part of that economic development commission. I've been president for 4 years. 2 years. We meet in economic development to go over all the tax rates. What comes to council, we meet prior to. I'd like to stay on the board. One council is one council is fairly high. Someone from council needs to be on that board also. One person. Anything else?
I make a motion that we keep them on.
Any other nomination? Here, none. Move that we accept him by acclamation.
Okay. Before we get started in the regular body of the agenda, I know some of people are here because of the rate hike and the bonds. And I just got word, I hadn't checked my email today, but we just got an email from the mayor and Jennifer, Councilman. Can you read that email from the mayor today? It's pretty long. Can you read the whole thing? Yeah.
Can we turn the audio on?
Councilors Rebecca, Rick, and Jeff, John, Holly, Lance, and Joe. Good morning to all. I cannot make it to the meeting tonight as I am on scheduled vacation. David and Chris Janik will be at the meeting to answer any questions. We are not asking for a vote on these tonight, but rather to set a special meeting or meetings in order to have this passed before the December 23rd deadline. If not passed before the date, we will not be able to file our case with the IURC in the time frame to avoid extra costs. The IURC uses a test year that we have already been completed, and in an update, if filed later, would cost several $1,000s more, and of course delay the major needed improvement. Of course, if you choose to vote tonight, I'm asking on behalf of the community for your support. As you know, in the last meeting, the ordinances was believed to have passed by a 4-3 vote. However, that is not sufficient under the state statute. To officially pass, a majority of the council must vote to approve. To officially pass, a majority of the council vote to approve. We have submitted a new ordinance with new numbers for this purpose. Please excuse my blunt talk regarding this important matter. I know and understand that no one wants to vote for a quote-unquote rate increase, especially in an election year. But this is not a vote for a rate increase, but for a much-needed investment for our community and all its citizens. Everyone in our community, including those who vote, deserve good drinking water. Most of you, including those who voted last time, have publicly made statements acknowledging the need for these improvements. They are needed desperately. In reality, a vote against these ordinances is a vote against safe, clean, and plentiful drinking water for our community, all of our community. People in our community who are on fixed incomes or who have low to moderate income are most disadvantaged by not having clean, plentiful water available. They cannot afford to buy large amounts of bottled water or a personal purification system. They rely on good, clean city water. While we have been working on many aspects of our water system for the last seven years, some believe we should have moved faster. It takes money to take these steps. You can cannot reasonably cast a no vote because you feel more should have been done previously with understanding in the future you will be the reason for inaction. This proposal will help to provide clean, plentiful, and safe drinking water for years to come. In addition of expanding our plant capacity, we will be replacing old leaky water lines and lead supply lines. We do not want to become a quote-unquote Flint, Michigan. After 4 years, phased in over 3, the average residential customer will see an increase of approximately $6.08 per month in return with our adding in TIF and ARPA monies for the purpose of holding down rates. Will be able to acquire up to an additional $48 million, which will be paid with the increased funds. This will cover up to $65 million in improvements, a great deal for less than $73 per year. While we are wisely, in my view, using TIF dollars, it cannot be fully funded by TIF. TIF is generated in the TIF district only and is used for our economic and development projects as well as infrastructure to support our economic development. Utilities, for the most part, are paid by ratepayers to receive the benefits of the utility. In this case here, we also are attempting to shift away from the homeowner their subsidizing of their industrial customers. A no vote will continue this practice, and a yes vote will make sure our rates are more equitable. I appreciate and thank those who have supported this proposal. I am hopeful that those of you who could not earlier attend will be able to also support this important investment into our community. For those who have questions, not about the need, but the process or politics of the matter, I ask you to reconsider and vote for good clean water that is plentiful. Support our water workers who need new equipment and good living wages to do our job. Without the support of the majority of this elected council, we will not be able to provide what the utility and community needs for future growth and survival. Best to you all, with hope you will be able to support these great needed improvements. Thomas J. Roderick, Jr., Mayor City.
I thank you, Councilman. You're welcome. Councilman Dixon.
In explanation of what we read, on budgets and bonds, you gotta have 5 votes for yes or failure of the common council. What was voted upon, they had only 7 council members here at the time they voted, and they got 4 yeses. That's insufficient. Reiterated once again, you gotta have 5 votes on budgets and also funds. I guess that's all we can say.
Any other comments from the council? Any questions?
Yeah. So I read. We listened to everything you said the last time. We're not asking you to act on it tonight. Because one of the problems last time was you hadn't had enough time to get through it. So what we've done is just backed off once we realized it didn't pass. And we're asking you to set either one special meeting that you would consider giving 3 readings in one special meeting before the 23rd, or 2 special meetings so that you can do 3 different readings in 2 nights. It's whatever you guys are available. Instead of us set the date, you guys set it, because we really want to be involved.
Councilman, President Crowe, I suggest that the council arrive at a date consensus within them. We don't need administration to tell us when. We all should. We need to ask these people here, the council members, what date are they available?
I have no problem doing that, Councilman Dixon. If I remember correctly, that's what we did last time when we didn't have a majority here. So we can set a date here tonight and still end up in the same place we was last time. First of all, is anybody that's not coming to no special meeting? I guess I put that out there first.
I would prefer to meet on Wednesdays.
Okay.
Or
Is everyone okay with Wednesday? 21st. That's right before the holiday. And
So are you
Are
saying
you,
you're
are
gonna
you
do-
wanting to give 3 readings in one night, or you want to spread it over 2 nights? Which requires everyone to agree to that by your own rules to do so.
You might consider one reading tonight because there may be some changes requested or demanded, and if those changes is not met, then you will not get 3 readings on any particular night.
I think it's safer for the entire project if we give it a single reading.
I think so because
And then set the 21st as a special meeting? Do you have a particular time?
No, I don't. I'm in Indianapolis every day, but.
well,
6
Wednesday would
p.m.?
have to be the date that we look at. So I'm gonna make a motion that we give, first of all, we give it 1 reading tonight.
Well, that would just be, is it on the agenda?
It is on the
Yeah.
agenda. I placed it on the agenda, was gonna ask you not to act on it. I wanted to get, there was a problem, you didn't have enough time last time, so I didn't want to push anybody.
We should give it a reading tonight.
Have we voted to remove it from tonight's agenda? Not yet.
No.
So when
I
it
make a
comes up,
motion.
we'll just make a motion and second.
I got a second over here, Dad. We give it 1 reading tonight, and can give it 2 readings.
We need a motion or a second from the agenda.
Wait a minute. We can discuss that when we get to it, since it's still on the agenda. Because I'm at that point. All I need to do now is confirm the special meeting date, December the 21st at 6 p.m. That's all we need to do right now.
So everyone's good with 6?
Okay,
I asked that same question, Tommy.
Other than, if we give it 1 reading, shouldn't we do that before we set up the second and third reading?
You wouldn't have,
It doesn't
to-
make-
you have it on the agenda.
It
so
don't-
you would have-
Okay.
Okay, so we're.
I'm good with the 21st.
Council Bell, you good with the 21st? Freeman? Council Beard? No? Okay. What about, Stevens? Council Dixon?
I'm determined that I just go forward out there 21st. We have at least a majority.
We can't hear him very
Okay,
well.
Council Newman?
We're having a hard time hearing you, Counselor Dixon. The audience is.
Okay,
I
so
hear
we
you.
have the 21st down there. You know, that is going into the Christmas holiday. The mayor said this was scheduled vacation for him. Reason why he's not here tonight. So we'll just see what happens on the 21st. All right. So we can move forward with the introductions of ordinances with the first and second reading approved.
Madam President,
Councilor
I'd like to bring before the council, for its 3rd reading, ordinance 3722.
Ordinance 37-22, an ordinance of the common council of the city of Madison, Indiana, establishing the city of Anderson's commission for racial equity.
Any questions from the, council? I think I'm a sponsor here, but, did you have a question from the audience?
Angie Strickler, 46012. I actually didn't have anything to add tonight unless there was additional questions based on our last conversation. So I was just here for questions.
Are there any questions from the council? Any questions from the audience? Questions been called?
Counselor Bell.
Yes.
Counselor Cole.
Yes.
Counselor Freeman.
Yes.
Counselor Bibb.
Yes.
Counselor Mears.
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson. Counselor Dixon. Counselor Newman.
Yes.
President Grooms.
Yes, ordinance 37-22 has passed its 3rd and final.
Thank you very much.
Final reading. Thank you, Ms. Rickler, for all your work and committee work and caring enough about the city, trying to help get that together. Thank you. We go out here and find ways. Yeah. So 37-22 is waiting to see the net. We'll have the introduction ordinance with the first reading of group.
Introduction of 3622 for the second reading.
Ordinance 36-22, an ordinance amending ordinance number 1141, ordinance number 2439, and ordinance number 36-63 of the city of Anderson, Madison County, Indiana, with respect to the zone map as to certain real estate within the city of Anderson as herein described. 700 to 800 block of East 38th Street.
This is the East 38th Street part.
Madam President, council members, I'll keep this simple and short. You unanimously approved first reading of this proposed rezoning on East 38th Street last month. It was also discussed that maybe we need to amend our zoning ordinance prior to voting any further on this petition. So I would request that ordinance 3622 be continued into the next scheduled meeting. Not at this time. Petitioner isn't here either. So
Oh, okay. All right. So we're going to get back on that agenda for next.
hoping that we'll have the amended ordinance, but again, Plan Commission has fewer meetings during the holidays, so the ordinance that's amended would have to go before the Plan Commission before its second meeting. So it's kind of up in the air as when that will happen.
Counselor,
Hmm.
did you say you had a question? I do. Did you know that she wasn't going to be here?
Yes. Yes. She lives in Noblesville.
Yeah, I know.
Madam President, motion to table 36.
Counselor Bell,
Yes.
Counselor Polk,
Yes.
Counselor Freeman,
Yes.
Counselor Bibb, Counselor Muir,
Yes.
Counselor Stevens, Counselor Dixon, Counselor Newman,
Yes.
President Grant.
Yeah. Ordinance 36-22 has been tabled.
Thank you.
For introduction of ordinance. Counselor Beard.
I move that ordinance 3522 be given its first reading.
Second.
Ordinance 35-22, an ordinance empowering the Anderson City Common Council read-only access to the city of Anderson municipal financial system.
Okay, I see on here where it says to be amended now. Close. The version that's on here is the amended ordinance.
You have the original version in your last packet, so since you wanted it amended, I put the new amended version in your last packet. The newest packet. Yes. But, I mean, if it's really never had a reading.
The one that's up there, I don't think is amended. I think that's the exact same.
No, but my question is, why would it need to be amended?
It wouldn't.
No, because it's, then I don't know why the title on there has amended.
Right, and that one that's right there, that is up here in the front is not, there haven't been any amendments to it. The body of that is, I believe, exactly the same as the prior.
Madam Clerk, I gave you the amended form. Yes,
Exactly, and that's why it says as amended at the top. But if you've never acted on an actual ordinance, there's no reason for an amendment. It would just introduced as that.
Okay, well, we introduced that.
So there weren't any amendments made to it? That's my question. Because that document is right up there.
We did have to change something. I can't remember off the top of my head. Who was it?
There was discussion about changing it that council would be provided read-only access with assistance from the.
Oh, right. That was
From
correct.
Right, that it would have to be accessed here in the building with the
Right, yeah,
controller.
that was the.
Yeah, it's not in the document.
Where, Madam Clerk?
Pardon?
You
Say
have
that again?
amended version.
Yes, I do. That's the one that you all received in your very last packet. Is the latest and greatest that I received.
I'm not understanding why there's confusion, because we wrote ordinance up, which we, said was not a problem, and I gave it back to the Madam Clerk as, amended. Now, I
This is
understand-
the, it doesn't look any different to me.
Yeah, I believe it's exactly the same, President Cruz.
Well, it should be, because I gave her the amended form.
Do you have the amended in front of you? No, wait a minute. Okay, location of the
Yes.
city of Anderson's building, right here. Location, right there's your amendment. Therefore, be it resolved that the common council of the city of Anderson is authorized and empowered to gain read-only access from the location of the city of Anderson's building to the Munis financial system utilized by the city of Anderson and any and all other financial software associated with financial transactions involving taxpayers' dollars which become ledgered or documented. In the other one, it doesn't say location. That's why there's confusion, because you don't see that tiny bit of verbiage. You're welcome.
Madam President, we should look at it and have her read in its entirety what we're voting on tonight.
Madam Clerk, please read the ordinance.
Ordinance empowering the Anderson City Common Council read-only access to the City of Anderson Munis financial system. Whereas the Munis financial system is the financial software that the City of Anderson currently uses for most to all of its financial transactions. Whereas the Anderson City Common Council, as the legislative body of the City of Anderson, is responsible to protect the dollars of the taxpayers of the City of Anderson. Whereas the legislative branch is legally entitled to read-only access to its city's financial software and any and all other financial software associated with financial transactions involving taxpayer dollars which become ledgered or documented. Whereas the members of the Anderson City Common Council recognize that financial information contained in the Munis financial system contains a certain degree of sensitivity and is therefore subject to the oath of the office taken by each member upon swearing to become a member of the Anderson City Common Council. Therefore, it be resolved that the Common Council of the City of Anderson is authorized and empowered to gain read-only access from the location of the City of Anderson's building to the Munis financial system utilized by the City of Anderson and any and all other financial software associated with financial transactions involving taxpayer dollars which become ledgered or documented.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Any questions from the council?
Yes, ma'am. If I'm understanding this correctly, I want into this financial system. I get on the phone and make a what the going.
That is how it works in different places. In Indiana, everybody does things differently, but that is the intent. How to control them. They have a way to just allow you to have read-only access. You will not be looking at people's social security numbers and health records. That is not true. They have sent many people to learn how to run this Munis system. One, I know at least one is not even here anymore. So there are others in this building that have access to that. We are responsible for every financial transaction in this building. And we have a right to see the different funds inside this financial system. Councilman Dixon.
I totally agree, President. The legislative body, that's what the city council is. All legislation, especially when we're governed with the taxpayers' dollars, we have a right to see. We're not trying to put a Mar-a-Lago and take material out of the city here and take it home or whatever. But we do have a constitutional right to read and examine all legislation. We have settled for read out only, and that is what we should, and this council, we should read for.
And Councilman Newman, that would be the process, to contact the controller.
In other words, you're telling me, yes,
Yes, that would be the
you have a
process.
right to see all legislation. We are the governors of taxpayers' dollars. That's all I wanted to know.
Okay,
If I may briefly address the council, I won't draw this out. I gave my opinion to the council. I did not approve this ordinance as to form or legality. I don't disagree with what Councilor Dixon is saying, that you have a right to see these things. I think where the disagreement is that you're wanting access to this system that contains all of this very sensitive, confidential. I understand that, but the ordinance itself has issues where it says the legislative branch is legally entitled to read-only access. That's just not a factual statement. There is no legal entitlement.
we have an attorney too.
I understand that you have an attorney. I know, and she's not here. She never comes to
She
these
don't have to be
meetings.
here, because we've already went over this.
Right, I'm sure you did, but
And,
thank you.
and wait a minute, what you just stated, that why you did not agree with that, you took it right out of our rule books, which we need to go over council rules, because they're about 40 years old. But we have an attorney now, and that's why we got an attorney. We're not always gonna agree on how we think we should be doing things. I know I have been to numerous trainings, and I'm not just making stuff up here. This is a right that we do have now. It's fine that you don't agree, and I'm sure the mayor's already said he didn't agree, and I guess I would agree about it. But we're not operating like that.
Thank you.
We have a right as a council, as a financial body. Yes.
President Cruz, we can hear the argument, he's gonna say that the public don't have a right to know how their tax dollars being spent. The legislative body don't have a right to.
But he don't want us looking at.
That's not what I said. I said you did have a right. I said you have a right to review all legislation. You have a right to know where the city's money is going. What this council does not have a right to is the sensitive medical information, social security numbers, and things of that nature that are contained within that system. That's what I'm saying.
Your opinion.
Correct, that is my opinion. That's my legal opinion.
You have a right to drag the council's attorney down. Let's see you defend your speech in her presence.
Absolutely, I have no problem doing that, Councilor Dixon, no problem.
Councilor Miller.
And we, all we have to do is vote on it.
I still have a question from the last time. we talked. Never got answered. What is it, as a counselor, am I gonna get from Munis that I don't get the Gateway and the reports that are given to us?
We get to see the fund.
I'm not asking you, I'm asking one of them out there.
Well, they're not the financial body.
I'd like to answer.
We're supposed to know what we're supposed to be looking at.
Goodwin City Controller, you get the board reports, which include detailed, of every disbursement, of every line item in every fund, including utility funds, city funds. We did restrict some access to the loss and self-insurance funds, and that kind of relates to some of the things Paul has been speaking to you about sensitive issues or even HIPAA type issues. We gave you information on how you can still access that information and see more detailed information about those disbursements. I think I've had one request, maybe in the last 3 years or so, for some information from the loss fund. We followed the procedure that we detailed you to get you that information. But we don't get questions about the reports that we do provide you, or the other information that you request around budget times that we print out in reams of paper and provide to the council. So, I don't know, you get the information. You get the information already. So up here, we're acting like, well, we're trying to get access for the first time. We don't get this information. And that's just simply not
All
true.
that's audited, right?
That is
We are
not-
audited every year by the Indiana State Board of Accounts. We're audited every year. And so, and the reports are public. You are all invited to the exit conferences, generally, you know, due to personal schedules and so forth. The president maybe is the only one who shows up, or some delegate, made by the president. And those matters, of course, are confidential, subject to state law until the report is public. But the report will eventually be made public and be accessible to you, the public, the newspaper, anyone. So there is a tremendous amount of transparency.
Yeah, I know, with all due respect, it's not like I'm questioning anything, this is just a right that the council has. Gateway is not always up to date, it doesn't always have the information. The State Board of Accounts, the audits they do, the whole council is invited to the entrance conference. They have a scope of things, they don't come up here and audit everything. They have a scope of operation that they check, federal monies, and they do a general audit, but that's not what I'm talking about.
Everything is subject to audit, though. I do want to clarify, everything is subject to audit.
But the point I'm trying to make is, this is not something unheard of. Other councils do it. They have read-only access. When I go to budget classes, they're talking about, look over here, read-only access. I'm the only one in there that does.
Right, I think I would merely point out on something like that, because I've been to the same trainings. I was a part of the State Board of Accounts for 24 plus years. So what I would only simply point out also about that is the fact that when you're in those meetings, the audience is not one set type of governmental body. You've got towns, you've got third-class cities, and you've got second-class cities. So it's very likely that some of what they're saying about towns are being confused with some of what they're saying about second-class cities.
I know what
Because they are different.
cities
There are differences.
and first-class cities and towns. But we don't have to debate whether or not we have the right to do that. We're going to vote on it, and if it passes and you still don't agree, we just see you in court. We let the court decide whether or not the legislative body has the right. Councilor Dixon.
Thank you for your time.
We are co-equal branches of government. The administration do not tell the legislative branch of government what they have access to. We have a right to govern, to handle the taxpayer's dollar. We decide where the money goes. So let's end this argument, and if we're wrong, then let the State Board of Account and the auditor prove us wrong. Question.
Counselor Bell.
Yes.
Counselor Cole.
No.
Counselor Freeman.
No.
Counselor Gibbs.
Yes.
Counselor Muir.
No.
Counselor Stevenson.
Yes.
Counselor Dixon.
Yes.
Counselor Newman.
No, no.
President Krim.
Yeah.
Yes. It has been approved.
It passed first reading. 5-4.
5-4. Okay. Ordinance 35. Well, wait a minute. This,
22.
35-22 has passed first reading.
Second, the people have a right.
Ordinance 35-22, an ordinance empowering the Madison City Common Council read-only access to the City of Madison Munis financial system.
Any questions from the council? Any more comments?
Call for the question. People have a right to know.
Questions been called?
I got a question.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Well, you're in the middle of a roll call.
But we're gonna vote on it again, so I'll get you the next vote.
Okay.
Counselor Bell. Counselor Cole.
No.
Counselor Freeman.
No.
Counselor Bibbs.
Yes.
Counselor Muir.
No.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yes.
Counselor Dixon,
Yes.
Counselor Newman,
No.
President Graham,
Yeah. What was that?
5-4.
5-4. Say Councilman. Yeah. Yeah. Can we,
This is the suspension of the rules, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not taking nothing away from their role, okay.
Was that you, Counselor Bell? Counselor Bell?
Yes.
Counselor Cole? Counselor Freeman?
Yes.
Counselor Bibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Muir?
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson?
Yes.
Counselor Dixon?
Yes.
Counselor Newman?
Yes.
President Graham?
yes. Those have been suspended, I believe.
Yes.
Madam President,
Council Bear.
I move that ordinance 3522 be given its third and final reading. Second.
Ordinance 35-22. Ordinance empowering the Anderson City Common Council read-only access to the City of Anderson Munis financial system.
My name's Rick Margadam, 205 West 12th Street. I have one question about this. With this read-only access, are you guys using a system like Decision Logic or Plaid or something along that line that would actually put a barrier between the security of people's proprietary information and what is actually needed to be seen?
I've been told that this is the munis system and there are controls that you can't put in place. I know they say it ain't, but I've been told there was. You don't get the, I believe people that I know that have access to this munis system. Madam Clerk, do you have access to everybody's private information?
No,
Well,
I only have access to my employees.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They can't put in.
But with read-only access with like companies like Decision Logic, you'll be able to actually see the financials across the board without actually having to be able
You're
to.
asking us to know what decision logic is.
Okay.
Madam President, can I ask you, who or what are the credentials of the people who told you there is read-only access?
Indiana State Board of Accounts.
I'm sorry, I want to state my name one more time. Rick Margadam.
Rick, what?
Margadam. Moghadam. I just figured I would ask that because I think it's something that it should be looked at. That's a third-party service that a lot of banks use. Chase uses them, Bank of America uses them. And if it's something that a lot of the banks are using, it should be something that should be compatible with the Munis system.
And I just want to add that we take an oath up here also.
I know you guys do.
We're under oath.
I know you are.
There are multiple people in this building that use the Munis
Mhm.
system, read-only access. They are appointed,
Mhm.
they are family members, and we are the elected body up here.
Okay.
And so it's not like we're going to, like Councilman Dixon said, start carting off material that is unauthorized.
Which we know. I know that you guys are. That's not the intent of anybody around here. It's just a layer of security that would be something that would be third party. It would take the liability off of anybody that's sitting up here. That's all it is. So I just figured I'd throw it out there. Thank you.
Any other questions from on? Hello, I'm Sandy Haynes. Mine is just more of a statement. I am flabbergasted at the objection. That makes me, as Joe Public, wonder why? Why the objection? You guys are voted on. You're voted into your office. That means the public is stating, we expect you to look after our backs. You know, as far as social security numbers, read-only doesn't give you that access unless you have a reason to have that. Read-only is not going to put you into a violation. None of you, I'm betting, are even required to exercise HIPAA. Because you're not, unless you're medical, or unless you're an attorney, representing endangered, special purpose too. But my point is, I think we're living in a real dangerous area there. If anybody and everybody that has access to that information has access to, John Doe's HIPAA information. That's just not gonna happen. But my question, what really gets me is why there's an objection. My thing is, what's going on? What's trying to be hidden? If they're given this stuff every time you turn around in this document or that document, then why do you care? They've already seen it. Let them go on and see that they've seen it. It just, when I hear, well, we give you this, or we give you this printout, or these minutes, or that, it just doesn't make sense to me. As Joe Public, that's just my opinion.
Any other questions from the council?
Call for the question.
Councilor Bell.
Statement with your comment is that I do believe we do have the information because we're self-administered health insurance. We're self-insured. We use a third-party administrator, but we have an insurance office. So there's probably a lot of HIPAA information in that insurance office. I vote yes.
Councilor Cole.
No.
Councilor Freeman.
No.
Councilor Bibbs.
Yes.
Councilor Muir.
No.
Councilor Stevenson.
Yes.
Councilor Dixon.
Has a right. And it's going, should be able to dictate to the elected official. My vote is yes.
Councilor Newman.
I'm going to change my vote to yes.
President Cruz.
Yes.
Ordinance, 35-22 has passed its third and final reading. Waiting to be put in.
Madam President,
Councilman Murray.
I move that we have ordinance 40-22 its first reading.
Ordinance 40-22, an ordinance amending ordinance number 7981 and all amendments thereto. Chapter 98 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Anderson and establishing policies for residential tax abatements within the City of Anderson.
Council President, members of the City Council, this is the annual residential abatement ordinance that we renew each year. I'm not asking for any changes, so it is exactly the same as it was last year. You will recall that it provides for a 3-year tax abatement for residential properties, new residential properties, and for a 6-year abatement if it's considered infill housing. Infill housing is defined by being surrounded by housing that was built before 1985. This is an ordinance that we had on the agenda at the last meeting in November, and we went ahead and pulled it off. So I would ask for 3 readings tonight.
Any questions from the council? Any questions from the audience?
Councilor Bell.
Yes.
Councilor Cole. Yes. Councilor Freeman.
Yes.
Councilor Bibbs.
Yes.
Councilor Muir.
Yes.
Councilor Stevenson. Yes. Councilor Dixon.
Yes.
Councilor Newman.
Yes.
President Cruz.
Yeah. Ordinance 40-22 is passed its third reading.
Madam President,
Councilman Muir.
I move that we give ordinance 40-22 its second reading, please.
Ordinance 40-22, an ordinance amending ordinances number 79-81 and all amendments thereto, chapter 98 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Anderson and establishing policies for residential tax abatements within the City of Anderson.
Any questions?
Any questions from the audience?
Question.
Is there a question back there? Yeah.
You have to come to the podium. And then state your name and all.
Alice Flowers. I just had a question about the Robert rules. I mean, are they suspended again, and
Not yet.
is it cramming 3 readings? Is that in Robert rules? I haven't read them.
You can have 3 readings on everything except zoning.
Okay.
When it comes to zoning, you can
I
only.
didn't know if you were trying to like shove a whole plate of food on things. So, okay, thanks.
Other questions?
Counselor Bell.
Yes.
Counselor Cole.
Yes.
Counselor Freeman.
Yes.
Counselor Bibbs.
Yes.
Counselor Muir.
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson. Counselor Dixon. Counselor Newman.
Yes.
President Cruz.
Yes.
Thank you.
Madam President,
Councilor
I move for suspension of the rule for the.
Counselor Bell.
Yes.
Counselor Cole.
Yes.
Counselor Freeman.
Yes.
Counselor Bibbs.
Yes.
Counselor Muir.
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson.
Yes.
Counselor Dixon.
Okay, this is residential tax rate. Yes.
Counselor Newman.
Yes.
President Cruz.
Yes.
Madam President, I move to the ordinance 40-22 as third reading.
Ordinance 40-22, an ordinance amending ordinance number 79-81 and all amendments thereto. Chapter 98 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Anderson and establishing policies for residential tax abatement within the City of Anderson.
Questions?
Any questions from the council? Any questions from the audience?
Question.
Questions been called?
Counselor Bell.
Yes.
Counselor Cole.
Yes.
Counselor Freeman.
Yes.
Counselor Bibbs.
Yes.
Counselor Muir.
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson.
Yes.
Counselor Dixon.
Yes.
Counselor Newman.
Yes.
President Cruz.
Yes.
Thank you, Council.
Okay, ordinance
40.
40-22, ordinance 40-22 is passed to third and final reading and waits for the signature of the mayor.
Madam President.
Councilor Stevens.
Ordinance
Water user rate.
Ordinance 42-22. An ordinance amending the monthly water user rates and charges of the City of Anderson, Indiana.
Any questions from the audience? Councilor Stevens has just one reading.
Is that 42-22 or 43-22?
42-22.
Amending the monthly water use. Any questions from the audience? No questions?
Elijah behind, give it one reading tonight, if we wait until the special meeting. I can tell you right now, you probably wouldn't get a suspension of the rule on the 21st. You may not pass anyway, but that's a lot of people who are objecting to raising water rates. Next time it's gonna be electrical rates, it's gonna be gas rates. This is for cleaning up the water, fixing the pipes and everything needs to be done. But we're putting hell all over on the taxpayer out here in hard ass times right now. So we need to think about what we're doing.
I will make. May I have a comment?
Joe Stowers. I will add to that, when we do these increases in rates, because we know Nestle is getting ready to hit, what, $400 million expansion, something like that. When we do the additions to the rates, even though we're trying to stack the 42-22 along with 43-22, there's no discussion, of nowhere you're going to hear it, of how the rates are going to go back down. Once they're up, they're going to stay up in perpetuity. Whether you fund the 38 million, the 65 million, the 300 million, whatever it is, the rates are just going to stay forever, indefinite, in perpetuity. So accept that. That leads to a lot more questions. What's going to happen after that? But that hasn't been brought up as far as what's going to happen if we are going to fund this. Regardless how I feel on 43-22 and 42-22, the whole purpose behind it is to help fund
to 43.22. So they're kind of going in tandem. But once those rates are raised, even if they're $5, $6 a month, whatever it is, I'm not buying that just because the interest on the loan, if we're talking 65 million, is $4.5 million a year. Divide that up by all the participants involved. But outside of that, once it is raised, that is permanent. I just want to make sure people accept that that's what you're voting on, a permanent increase. And I'm sure we'll be back here next year saying we need to do something else, because Nestle ate up 26% of our water, and they're getting ready to do a $400 million expansion. There's a good chance they're actually going to be dipping into a good 50, 75% of our water, which would require why we have to build another facility on the north side of town. So, I mean, we're getting ready to turn into Flint, Michigan. So the first thing, they're trying to fund a little bit here in the 42.22, but we kind of see the ball that's coming down the pipe. If F is going to expand, we got problems coming. But don't anticipate that just because we raise this bill to $5, $6, whatever it is, it's never going back down. We know that. That's all that comes.
I believe we're talking $6 bill on the water alone. I'm getting beat down everywhere I go on all 4 sides of town. People are saying, don't raise my rates. Don't raise my water rates, my electrical rates. I hell of a time to ask if people to dig into their pockets more. And all of the work is going out there to Nestle. But they have blighted areas all over the city, especially in the 4th and 6th and 2nd ward. And like rich get richer, poor get poor. I represent the most depleted, left out ward in the entire Madison County. People out there can't get a grocery store, they can't get a restaurant. But we just gave Nestle University $6 million. Was it $6 million out there? And now they want to turn around and they want to build $65 to $100 million in areas where money should be going to blighted areas. But most certainly out south in town is not blighted.
Again, Sandy Bain. Yes. I remember in the 70s when we had this same thing on a bond. Let's fix the water. And then it was said after 20 years that bond would be paid off. But everybody's fees stayed the same, that amount. And each time they added a bond, they just added onto it. And it's, continues on to this day. And that's a increase over that many years. My question is there an end date? Are we doing this again? As far as it's just going to go forever and then we're going to, add the next one on top of it and then the next one, because we've been doing that for, 50 years that I know of. I haven't seen a decrease after that bond's been paid off. It just continues to grow and grow and grow. So I agree the water needs to be done. It should have been done a long time ago when we first started doing all of this. But evidently it never was. Now we've got players in the kitchen, Nestle's. Why can't Nestle's pay for their own? Was that part of our contract and our agreement with them? That they'd use our water supply, and then if they decided to make improvements, that taxpayers would pay for it?
No, they pay for theirs. And this actually shifts a lot of the burden of the rates back to businesses, manufacturing. Sorry. Nestle pays for their water, just like everybody else in the community. This rate increase, does your cell phone bill ever go down? None of those things ever go down. Prices keep going up with everything. But the new rate and the new plan shifts and allocates a higher percentage of that cost to be absorbed by the manufacturing and the big business that we have in town, to answer your question.
Thank you. Okay. Just real.
Nestle is, I believe, in a tilt district. That means that the revenue collected from recirculate that money right back into Nestle. So when you say that they're paying their portion, when the taxes are gathered, they put those taxes back to work.
They recycle it back into
Recycle it
them.
right back in there, so.
So really, they're paying themselves.
They're paying.
No, that's not the way it works.
Are they giving 20% of the profits back to the
We
city?
built the infrastructure, and Nestle was providing the infrastructure through this city council.
Okay.
You can't speak from the audience.
Okay,
No, it's a meeting for the
okay.
people.
Whether Nestle's paying their share or whether they're not. My point is still, is there an end date? You know, my phone bill, I can go to another carrier. I can't go to another carrier.
What do you mean by end date?
I mean, does this bond have a time period that it's gonna be paid off? Does it have an end date? So that's what I mean by end date. That's what I wanna know. Or is it like you said earlier, perpetual? It's just gonna go on and on and on and never end, and we're gonna keep adding. Yes,
Can I speak?
hold on, yes, you can. Hold on, just calm down.
I can't answer your question. My answer is there is an end date to a bond, but I'll let the official stamp on that answer. The reason I ask is, like many of you, audience up here, I'm a lifelong resident of this community. And yes, this project that we're speaking about, this bond and these funding sources should have been started years ago. And so multiple administrations, if you want to place guilt, on both sides of the aisle, there's been administrations that haven't tackled what this city needs in infrastructure to provide safe drinking water, number one. So that we don't continue to use antiquated pipelines with the possibility of lead and whatever other chemicals are closer than that we've seen in other communities. So what I want to say is this: is it ever cheap? No. Is it ever going to be free? No. Should it have been tackled a long time ago? Yes. But here's what I really truly believe: if we turn our backs on these funding sources that are before us as a council, then this $6 and some change that doesn't start in the first year, and I'm sorry, I can't remember all the facts, but that's over a few years before it actually gets to $6 a month, okay? I'm not making light of $6 and some change a month in 4 years, that it builds to in 4 years, but I can promise you from everything I've studied, and if I'm wrong, time will tell, that the price we'll pay if we vote no on these funding procedures, and if we delay getting started on the antiquated pumping stations that's losing water, but that's important, but that's minor to the safe water line and adequate water. If we say no, then just keep watching, because the cost is going to go up. And the cost I'm talking about going up is to the same citizens, the fellow Councilman Dixon. I have that same concern. $6 is $6, but I'd hate to see it be $15 or whatever it'll be if we put it off and turn our backs on it. So I personally, and I respect everyone's opinion up here, but I personally don't think we're ever going to get it done at a lesser rate for the citizens whom we represent than we will with this package.
Can I follow up just a final quick statement to you? Okay. I agree with everything you said. I just want to make sure all the I's are dotted, T's are crossed, and this time we actually implement something that's going to take care of us. You know?
I truly believe from everything I've studied and read and listened to the people that are standing over here in the corner that have been working on it, I truly believe that'll happen. But guess what?
Time will also tell the answer to your concern. And if it's not done,
So far in the last 50 years, I haven't liked it,
well,
how it's
it will
told me.
be, but I surely want it to be a lower rate as possible for the citizens and for all involved.
But like I said, I understand that. I just want the precautions written in
Sure.
to ensure that we don't keep on this same old thing, doing the same thing, expecting different results.
I'm with you.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Madam President. Now, I just want to clarify that the discussion a minute ago with Nestle and so forth is, on the one hand, we have property taxes that Nestle pays, that they pay into the TIF district. Those are property taxes. All right, that's used to benefit the TIF district. That's by law, by design. There are restrictions on those funds. And then there are utility rates that they also pay. And those are different from the property taxes. So Nestle's not like paying themselves back or anything like that. In fact, Nestle actually has contributed, as required in the past, to a fund to help develop the Edgewood Plaza area. Those funds are still waiting to be deployed. Those that Nestle has paid into that. So Nestle's been a valuable partner in the community, but I think we just need to distinguish between water rates. Okay, you're purchasing water, whether you're Nestle or individuals. You're paying property taxes in the case of Nestle in the TIF district. You're paying property taxes wherever you live, maybe, and to support the city for that. So there's a difference between property taxes and utility rates. But I don't think that was very clear from that prior dialogue.
But, in giving a chance of rebuttal, they do, have, TIF reimbursement or recirculation, money going back to them. Is that correct?
No.
They're part of the TIF district.
They don't get it. They pay property taxes just like anyone else. And
What
that,
portion do they get back from TIF?
they don't get anything back. They pay property tax just like anybody else. It just happens that at one point in time,
When they tax.
okay, the levy, the assessed value was frozen, and then Nestle provided all this development through real and personal property improvements, all right? And that is the increment. They pay property tax on that, and that goes into a fund that part of which is actually being used to keep this rate increase from being larger. We're actually we're asking the redevelopment commission, Mary is going to be, he's already stated this publicly several times. And part of this package is to get some of the TIF money to keep this rate increase from being even greater than it would otherwise have to be.
So the money that he gains from TIF.
And that's thanks to Nestle
Goes
as
to
well.
offset. Keep it from,
Yeah, the rate, right. We're using part of the ARP funds and we're asking for, that's already been approved by this body. And we're going to, as the mayor has stated publicly several times, the other part of this thing is that we're going to be asking for TIF dollars, all right, to help subsidize this first phase of improvements that we need so that the rate increase doesn't have to be higher. We don't have to have a larger bond and so forth that would require higher rates to repay that debt.
but they are gaining some benefit from TIF dollars.
No.
Well, Doug, I think everyone that would pay utility rates are gaining some benefit from TIF.
No, that's right. No, that's what you're asking, then yes, that's correct, right. Everyone, every resident, it may be a Nestle or another big employer that, was a large payer into the TIF districts where those taxes have been collected, but then that's going to get distributed across every rate payer who is paying utility rates because they will pay a lower rate.
Perhaps you ought to explain to the general public out there the definition of TIF district and let them determine what Nestle is gaining from that TIF dollar.
I don't see the point of going into all of that. They have paid property taxes just like anybody else. It just so happens that it was in a legally organized TIF district. It was designed for certain economic development purposes. I think if you look at that, you would have to say that was very successful. We now have money that because we've been good stewards of it, that we're going to be able to ask for from the redevelopment commission to help subsidize this endeavor here that we're trying to undertake, and that will prevent the rates to all ratepayers, big and small, from being larger than what they otherwise would have to be. The other thing about that is what Paul alluded to briefly a minute ago is the mayor took quite a while in looking at this and trying to make this as equitable as possible, and this rate increase actually over the 3 phase ends of this, okay, if it's adopted, it'll phase in over 3 periods of time. But as it phases in, it will shift the burden back to the areas that should be, bearing more of the cost of the rates, Nestle and so forth. You leave the rates the way they are right now, it's more beneficial to Nestle than it would be if you implement this new rate package.
Is this phased out over 2, 3, 5 years? But how many phases? 3 years.
3 years, okay, 3 years, 1 step in each of the 3 years.
Okay, do they have to, at any point after it passes, come back to this legislative body for any type of evaluation or consideration?
Yes, there is. There's a procedure, and our legal counsel for the this can speak to that. Mr. John.
Right now, we talk about the rate. I know, but,
No, I think we're on the rates, and I think your questions. Oh, sorry, Chris Janach, Jannak. Councilman Dixon, here's the way the ordinance is written. And here's how Anderson is set up. You have several steps to enact rate increases. It starts with the board of works. They approved it. They send it on to you. You have the opportunity to either say up or down. That's where we are right now. So you either approve the rates and charges or not. That's where we are tonight. It will then go to the IURC and the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission. And they will either approve it as is, or they will modify the rates. If they modify the rates and they're any different than what is in that ordinance before you right now, it says, and this is not common, but we did this in this case because I thought you might ask that question. If it says anything, if they change the rates in any way, we have to come back to you to ratify. So you will have another chance to look at this, probably because quite frankly, the IURC will modify it in some fashion, maybe pennies, maybe nickels, maybe dimes. But when they do, it'll be later next year, beginning of the following year, we will be back here and you'll have another shot. So that's what's going to happen in this case. That's the way this ordinance is set up. So you will provide further input on what the rates will be. What's that?
Did any of the other
I did want to answer something from Councilman Murray too. He's right. We have like 3 or 4, if not more, pots of money that we can choose that we're going to try to fund some of these improvements. And by the way, these are lead service line replacements, which is Flint, Michigan. And you have a water treatment plant where literally the concrete's falling off the wall. And the wells are 100 years old, at least dating back to the 30s. So, I mean, I'm not saying the water's going to fail, Barb, but you're sort of in a precarious spot. And you you're gonna have to fix these. And it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. So let's be serious about this. And what we're proposing is to issue some bonds to pay for this. Revenues, your great revenues would pay for it. We're also going to use TIF monies, which may or may not be there in the future, but we have them now, and we're going to try to use, what is it, 8 million, 9 million of TIF monies. We have ARP monies, and the federal government has a lot of grants that came out of the ARP package that aren't going to be there forever. And some of your projects, and because of the low to moderate income of some of our customers, that will make us more competitive for these grants, that they just won't be there forever. So if we push this off down the road, I think Councilman Muir is right. Some of these pots of money aren't going to be there, and the cost could be higher. So you're going to have higher construction costs, less funding, and the ratepayers are going to have to pay for it, because it's going to have to be done. And what we want to try to avoid is having, and I don't want to be Chicken Little here, I may sound like that. We want to try to get this done before something bad happens. And we have good funding sources. So that's the goal. I know you never want to do it. I get it. I understand that. But if there's ever a good time to do it, and there's not, but this is better than most. So that's where it comes a long-winded answer to a short question. Sorry.
I make comment? I want to clarify some things. Okay. Before you speak, I want to clarify.
Not necessarily the scope. This is why I don't use attorney for my profession. I'm real good when it comes to contracts. When it comes to 4222, we're trying to fund the 4322. That's all 4222 does is fund 4322, right? One problem. 4322 is specifically words, coin and currency of the United States. Does anybody know what that is? As gold and silver. That's it. There's not a single payment that is going to be made on these bonds. Because if it worked this way, all we needed was that $6 increase to fund everything. Then we wouldn't need the bonds. We wouldn't need the bond assurance notes. We wouldn't need the funding notes. And we certainly wouldn't need the insurance for all four. We're stacking 4 layers of bonds that are not needed, never work. The premise is not a single dollar of these bonds will ever be paid from the rate increase or any of that, because the contract requires to be paid in coin and currency of the United States. That is gold and silver. It is rife with fraud. That's what I tried to tell you guys last time. So arguing over the $6, not a penny's getting paid on as far as the bonds. They're creating the bonds to create debts that are going to be attached to we the people in perpetuity. $65 million is $4.5 million a year in interest alone, but yet all of the money being drawn in is just extra profit to the water company, and that's pretty much it. It's not going to pay the bonds. Had I not seen those words specifically, there was no other reason to put coin and currency of the United States in the contract if it did not mean gold and silver. Yes, the attorneys, they love to misconstrue and use language that most people do not comprehend on purpose. So understand how these two things are going in tandem. I'm trying to get us to focus on the 43 or 4222 because it's very easy to fund $6 a month. It's really not that much. People are concerned about that. What they want is the 4322 and the 4 layers of bonds that are truly unlimited, the amount of bonds that can be produced. That's what's going down. Yeah.
Oh, we know it.
I'm glad to see both of them. By the time this one's done, the 4322, this is treason, sedition, and counterfeiting. Bar none. I'm glad to see both of them.
I'll make this part. I don't want to take a lot of your time. I'm sorry. I may have to swoosh down here. I'm sorry. I won't take a lot of your time. You guys have done bonds all the time, bond ordinances all the time. In the history of the city, you've done 10s of them. You've done 20 of them. And what he's described to you isn't how they work. or it wouldn't have worked like this in the past. You've done all the, what a bond ordinance does, and that's not what's up before you yet. But it is authorizes the borrowing of money. The way the cities do that is they issue bonds. It's no more than an IOU. And you are going to issue a bond to hopefully the state of Indiana, who is going to loan you the money and hopefully give you some grants. And the way that you're going to repay those loans is through having rates that are high enough to make payments on the bonds. And a financial advisor, she's looked through that. You guys have done this before. You know that's not true. I'm going to leave it at that and let the next people go.
Hold on.
No.
So he did not rebut gold and silver. That's what attorneys do. They lie through their teeth. But do not rebut it.
At the microphone.
My name's Lori Young. I'm an engineer with Curry and Associates, consultant with the city. Bill Curry is also with me. And I wanted to speak and address a question concern brought up regarding who these projects will serve, and that these projects are not to serve Nestle or industry. We're looking at projects, and we spoke about this at the last special meeting, to replace infrastructure, water supply infrastructure, improved treatment capacity at the North plant that we're needing to replace at the Wheeler plant. So currently we have two treatment plants. The Lafayette treatment plant was replaced about 3 years ago, and it was really replacing a plant that was at the end of its life, beyond the end of its life. And so we are needing to replace the wells, the water supply, and plan for replacement of the Wheeler plant. So as Chris mentioned, we have at the Wheeler well field near downtown on the Near East Side, there are wells that were, a couple of those wells are like 90 years old. Several of the big producing wells were constructed in the 40s and 50s, and they're just reaching the end of their life. You can't buy a car that's going to last for 50 years. You're going to put a lot of work into it. And so these projects are replacing and providing reliable water resources that serve all of your customers. So it does serve Nestle, but that is a part, but it serves all of your customers in the city, and it's critical to serve all of them. It's not just in any way just for one.
I'm Jill Curry with Curry and Associates, and I think Lori and I left the last meeting not sure if we really expressed the criticality of these projects appropriately. So you're pulling water out of the ground for your supply, and those wells that are proposed in this project are really just to replace the over 90-year-old wells down at the Wheeler plant. And then that water will go to your Lafayette plant, which we need to build up the capacity at that Lafayette plant because the Wheeler plant eventually needs to come offline as well. And then it goes out into the distribution system. We're doing the lead service lines and those leaky water mains that are, mean that you're losing hundreds of thousands of dollars a year into the ground, which I know Councilor Bell asked us about last time as well. And so to address that question, it really is for all citizens. And also two other questions you brought up, the phasing, is there an end date? So you guys are going to be applying to the state revolving fund potentially for these projects. The state revolving fund provides the loans anywhere from 20 years to 35 years. Those loans will be. And it really depends on what they're funding. If they're funding a treatment plant, they'll fund it at 20 years because the useful life of that equipment is 20 years, like your car. If you buy a car, you get a loan, they're only going to give you a loan for however long that car is going to be running well on the road. So that is what the sort of the end date question that this lady had asked. There is an end date to these loans. They will be paid off at a certain point, and the rate will be phased in over time. And lastly, the public comment period, and you had asked, I believe, about, will the council have a chance to speak about it? And Chris Janot had answered that. There will also be, for the state revolving fund, a public hearing for that program. And actually at that public hearing, it's helpful for citizens to speak up because they will also determine the amount of forgivable loan you could be eligible for. And they like to read what the comments from the public are, and that will be held once we apply to SRF.
I think we understood all that last time. And just to say this much, what Councilor Dixon was saying, he was referring to the, what the 8 million that's coming out to help on infrastructure. But, there's a lot of community talk, because he was trying to get him to say what TIP was originally created for, and that was to take care of blighted areas and business. I'm not saying that, but I don't know how many of y'all had that time to ride through Anderson, the inner city, and where most of the people live, and maybe you'll kind of understand where we're coming from. But I appreciate the comments, and I'm going to say this, and then I'm done talking about this rate hike. My issue is not with the actual rate hike. This is the last step. This council has not been intimately involved in these steps until now. And we could have avoided all that. Now, the legislation states that the utility doesn't make enough money or enough revenue to take care of all this stuff that needs to be done. But as a financial body, if we look at the finances, there's some areas that we haven't talked about publicly about how that utility budget operates. If they don't bring enough revenue up to take care of itself, then technically we shouldn't be taking money out of there to do other things, even though it's allowed. But we need to function within that utility department, in my opinion. But it hasn't ever, I guess, done that. And the median income in Anderson is $22,000 a year. And $6 after the rate hike, it goes up. I think they said the last time it would be a 30% hike when it's all done. I wanted the data, the information that I wanted is not going to come from the financial people or the experts. The things that are going to come from behind the scenes, like how many people are on payment plans, how many people are behind in the utility bill now. You can raise the rates all you want, but if half the city can't pay the bill or move out, you know, you won't be back to square one. So we got to find a way to finance this and take some of this burden off people who are already burdened. And it's not going to be an easy way to make everybody happy. But I know one thing, this community is hurting, and we need to act like it. And anyway, that's where I'm at.
It's easy to say, experts are out of town. They don't have to live there. They don't have to ride around and see their certain places in town that do not have grocery stores, that don't have restaurants, and they want something to eat. They got to go to the other side of town at night, and these people pay taxes too. They're forgotten people. You see, you step in here and living high and mighty. You can talk about it's not going to cost you that much, but you have no idea. You're a million miles away from reality. And you go right through Anderson, not just on the taking care of side of town. Let's go to the poor, the black, the disenfranchised side of town. See how people are living out there, and see if they can stand a water rate hike and eventually electricity. And like I said, the roads need paving. They need grocery stores. They need restaurants. They need everything that supplies a decent living. Let me tell me what, how it's going to advantage every community. It's not going to benefit every community. And I'm going to give it one reason. And my mind makes call for the question.
Question's been called.
Councilor Bell.
My vote. A couple of comments about this general discussion. One is discussion regarding Nestle, and the public, I think, is misinformed. I think it's human nature to be very skeptical about the amount of investment that our community has in a facility like this. Realize they have, with the completion of their next expansion, will have invested near or over $1 billion. They came to our community when we had nothing left but Hoosier Park. That's the only thing we had seen do and invested in this community for 30 or 40 years. They provide a lot of really good jobs to people who both live here or live close. There is a lot of income tax that is generated from that, and there's a lot of property taxes generated from that goes into a TIF that encompasses a very, very large part of our community, not just parts that are recently developed. So the benefits of Nestle, yes, they use a lot of our water. We're lucky to have good water to sell to them to attract community, industry, and commercial employers like that. It's a blessing. So it's okay to be skeptical, but please look at the big picture. But regarding this particular rate increase, I'm disappointed with the amount of planning that I've been asking for 7 years. And what could have been avoided was these kind of increases and these kind of bond numbers. And we had very small annual increases with planned improvements to our distribution system and the need to increase production at the level that we have. So on principle, I do stand for safe, clean drinking water and very, very responsible planning regarding our infrastructure. But I do not like this.
Council Colt.
Councilman Bell took the word right out of my mouth, specifically about Nestle. I made a comment earlier about Nestle after our visit. Just recently, it was reiterated how much they have done for our community. But
Councilor Freeman.
Yes.
Councilor Bibb.
No.
Councilor Muir.
Yes.
Councilor Stevenson.
Yes.
Councilor Dixon.
No.
Councilor Newman. Did you say yes?
Yes.
President Prince.
I want to explain my vote. I have our engineer representative on the development commission looking at some issues that I needed answers to, and they're working on that, but until I get all my questions answered, I need to get answers. I have to go no on the red side.
Thank you.
That sheet's down 43.
Madam Chairman.
Can I ask you, since you felt that, did you just remove 43 off the?
Madam Chairman. There's been a request to remove ordinance 43-22 from tonight's agenda. Second.
You want unanimous consent or?
I've got to go.
Right. Right.
Thank you guys for all your hard work.
No hike.
Madam
Make it
Chairman,
done. About 400
are
numbers.
we ready to move on to 44-22? I'd like to bring this forward, be read either alone, please.
Council Bill. Ordinance 44-22, an ordinance of the common council of the city of Anderson, Indiana, designating, defining, describing, and establishing the council managed district of the city of Anderson.
Before we get started, I want all the councilors to check their information, because I did have a copy of the map put with this. Does everyone have a copy of the map?
Should be on right in front of you when you arrive this evening.
Well, it should be with the, it almost be with the ordinance to, Madam Clerk.
It was in the packet. You didn't put it in the packet.
No, but we got it down, but we, I don't know who has the file is. It's something that-
I do at the county clerk.
Okay, you have to put the maps in with that.
Actually, these maps came from COG, from Madison County.
Okay, so can you include them with?
Absolutely.
Whenever you got a file, on staff, you got to give it to you, so that.
Yes.
Did, present it. Okay, so you will take care of, maps.
Yes.
Everybody got their map. Okay. Any questions about council? This is something that has to be filed this month. There was some question about the deviations in the districts, which I think I said last time. I understand that, but we've got problems with the data. And that's why I said we will have to be prepared to debate that.
Yep.
So we get correct data, information.
You guys know what you're doing, you know? I'll leave it up to you.
Madam President. Paul?
Paul?
Yes.
I had a question.
So, let me get this right. I'm new, trying to figure it all out. So if we don't vote to redistrict, someone sues this council and they win, they get a write-up how they do it?
That is correct. And I heard President Kroom's defense strategy last time that the census wasn't correct or whatever. I don't know where that information comes from, but I don't even know that the maps have been examined, population examined in these areas, but the proportions are way out of whack. And I understand your position. That's totally a council
I
function.
understand what
So
you're
you guys
saying.
do whatever you want.
And I understood, and he correct also, if the opposing party sues, we have to go to court. But what I wasn't just talking about the information being incorrect. I was talking about the civil rights law, because one of the things you have to take into consideration is race.
I understand.
And you've only got one minority district, and if you chop that up, trying to make all this even up, then you take away our representation.
You keep saying that you chop that up.
Not
You
you,
chop
but
that up.
whoever
That's,
does.
you folks are the ones that get to redistrict if you decide to do that according to law. If you
Right.
don't, then you risk being sued, and then you're gonna have to defend against that.
Councilman Crowe, that's incorrect. This is the fourth time that I've sat on this council, the fourth redistricting that we've been faced with. And I had to go to Mitch Daniels with the governor, with Sandra Lee, who was over the Civil Rights Commission back in, when I first come on the council. The first vote I had was a redistricting. And the state and the federal says there's one district where a minority has a chance to win. And each time we've attempted to redistrict, there's been an attempt to add people to the fourth and the sixth district to diminish opportunities for an African American to be represented on this council. And each time it has failed. And this individual, what's his name? She called and said that the city attorney had talked to, I wish she called you first and then me, and to work on getting the redistricting done. And when I talked to the person, I believe they said Tim Manning was the one requesting to have the district changed. Is that what you heard? Now,
No.
Paul, was you there part of the redistricting?
You here.
Well, I'm saying him running out of here. Tim Lanning is no longer the city attorney. It's Paul Podesta. He is the city attorney. And that's a good attempt to take away. They wanted to add 922 people to my district last time. I know what they're after. If we're wrong, then I'll see them in court. They're not going to come along and tear up the 4th district. I can tell you that right now.
As a president.
Yeah, Councilman, let me just say this.
I'm gonna say one other thing. We govern, Madison County is governed by the commissioners and the Madison County Council. Redistricting in the city of Anderson, Indiana is done by the 9 members of the Anderson City Council only.
Right, but I have looked at the numbers in the district. They are out of proportion, but you have to do, you have to purge, you have to verify everybody who lives in that area, and none of that has been done. The census, if you'll recall, came right when COVID started. I know people who work for the census, they just stopped and went with what they had and estimated and everything else. Coming from areas like we do, we have one district that we call a minority district. And no matter what you do, that district will be messed up trying to even out all these numbers. Because 99.9% of your blacks live in one small district. So that has to be challenged. But according to the Civil Rights Act, I believe it's 2, they allow for the race to be consideration, but it's not just race. These roles have to be purged. They have to be verified, and then you can try to work from there. But
As a chairman,
Councilman,
we all feel fortunate that we comply with the Civil Rights Act as compared to what the county council and the county commission did.
that's why Fred lost his seat. They put a whole town that's 99% white in his district, and he lost that one seat, the one representation seat we had on the county council.
146 votes.
They put 2,000 more people in his district.
Question.
You calling the question?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and, there is some, in terms of redistricting, the census report. There, what is that place out there near the whole shopping center, or what's that, apartment? The one that burned, there are several apartments in Joe's district, the Fairview Apartments, what are they called now?
Bingham Square.
One out there, used to be out where the old Edgewood, by the old.
Bingham Square.
The courtyard.
Courtyard.
It's now Bingham.
Courtyard, and there's where the census, they didn't even go up in there. They don't know how many people live inside of there. We can go around there. Outdoor used to be the old Pine Tree Apartments, which is called, I don't know.
Four Winds.
Four Winds. Those people out there, which is in my district, and like I say, in Joe's, there are a lot of people out there that never even seen census people. We don't know how many people are out there. Over there in the second district, around the Payless, your district, Jeff, there are people in there never seen or heard of census people. So these figures here, computation cannot be correct, and they're not correct. We don't have a accurate, true census report. But this was done, in my opinion, it's not Tim Lanning's job to come along and tell us how to run this council. If anyone got any say so, it ought to be Paul. He is the city attorney.
He said something.
Well, he's mad.
What was that?
Wait a minute. Councilor Bell, you had your.
Yeah, I did. So my district is disproportionately represented according to official
however accurate they may be. I don't know what else we have to go on. The way this is written up here, and it doesn't make sense when you look at my district. It's basically 38th Street South with the exception of Redbud. I kick in that section of Redbud and it actually follows, actually goes all over, kind of a golf course, which really is on. You know, so there's a few houses along the railroad tracks on MLK. That precinct 3-4 really would be like a no-brainer to secede from my do either to 4 or 6 because it's in the corner of both of them. Who does?
Well, it isn't. That's what I'm saying, that voters have to be heard. If I have to people on their property dead or move somewhere.
They don't hurt anymore.
I don't vote. Yeah, precinct. Do that. So the numbers are not valid enough. I'm just making deadline. What I have to be done is you have to hire people and first go in, verify addresses.
I think the college professor had offered to do it for free without having to hire anybody. And that's somebody who's done this multiple times. That was her email to us, to the department, that was forwarded on to you all and Rosemary months and months ago.
It's our job.
Right, they offered to assist you all in readers. Okay, that's fine.
Okay,
We go forward.
What's the deadline on filing?
okay, are you ready to come on?
Councilman Newman called the question. It's up to you.
Madam Chairman, I've called for the question several different times.
Questions been called.
Counselor Bell.
No.
Counselor Colt.
No.
Counselor Freeman.
No.
Counselor Bibbs.
Yes.
Counselor Muir.
I'm sorry about that question. I'm gonna admit it. I'm totally confused. I don't want to vote being confused. So we have a plan before to go mayor name, and we have a deadline of this month. My question is, whoever wants to step up and answer, if we don't take action by the deadline, what's next?
You could be sued.
I could.
Yep.
Republicans can come in and say. you didn't do it,
Anybody,
so
not
we-
just the Republican Party, anybody could sue you.
Well, that's why
The
you
college
need to pass
professor could
this.
sue you, and if they win and they prevail because this body didn't do what they were supposed to do, they're gonna get to draw those lines.
I vote for what? Based on the answer I heard, yes.
Counselor Stevenson.
Yes.
Counselor Dixon.
Yes.
Counselor Newman.
Yes.
President Crooms.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep it.
Somebody says.
Just ask. All I'm doing is just asking.
I mean, even if we don't do it, it's still gonna get sued.
Madam President, Madam President,
Councilor Newman.
I'd like to bring forth city council 44-22 for the second reading, please.
Second.
Ordinance 44-22, an ordinance of the common council of the city of Anderson, Indiana, designating, defining, describing, and establishing the council managed district of the city of Anderson.
Any questions from the council? Any questions from the audience?
Counselor Bell. Oh,
Yeah, come on.
Kendall with the City Herald. I just want to know now, is there any changes at all? Everything is status quo. So when was the last time these districts were changed?
1912, be 71 to 72.
They haven't been changed in 50 years?
No.
2012.
2012.
Yeah, I know they do it every 10 years. I'm asking when
And
they
the
do
last
it.
time the first time they tried to come on the council in 1991. So everything was changed. It was 10 years prior to that, which would have been 80s. Yeah.
So basically, they're the same district.
Somebody like Google
created
this?
in 1980.
I know for sure.
Hey, where are my fact checkers?
There was a slight adjustment to 12, is that correct?
Part of 5 was put in.
2012, when I was.
Okay, that's my question. Basically, except for a minor change in 2012, they're the same district that was created in 1980. Thank you.
We have a roll call vote on the table.
Yes. Counselor Bell.
No.
Counselor Colt.
No.
Counselor Freeman.
No.
Counselor Bibbs.
Yeah.
Counselor Muir. Second reading. Counselor Stevenson.
Yes.
Counselor Dixon.
I want to say until we get a good sense. My vote is yes.
Counselor Newman. President Kroon.
Yeah.
Madam Chairman, I ask for, suspend the rules, suspension of the rules. So 4422, be read for the third time, please.
Counselor Bell.
Yes.
Counselor Colt.
Yes.
Counselor Freeman.
Yes.
Counselor Bibbs.
Yes.
Counselor Muir.
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson. Yes. Counselor Dixon.
Yes.
Counselor Newman.
Yes.
President Kroon.
Yeah.
Madam Chairman, I bring forth Cindy, ordinance 44-22 for the third final reading, please.
Second.
Ordinance 44-22, an ordinance of the common council of the city of Anderson, Indiana, designating, defining, describing, and establishing the councilmatic district for the city of Anderson.
Question.
Counselor Bell.
No.
Counselor Colt.
No.
Counselor Freeman.
No.
Counselor Bibbs.
Yes.
Counselor Muir.
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson.
Yes.
Counselor Dixon.
Yes.
Counselor Newman.
Yes.
President Kroon.
Yes, ordinance 44-22 is passed third and final reading.
President Cruz, I'd like to ask, your permission to let Mr. Janot come up, since I asked to have 43 taken off the agenda. He'd like to address the council. I asked you to take out the second one.
And it's off, right?
And the first one. That's all. He just wants to address you prior to the meeting.
No, and to be more than vibe, I Christian off again. I've done this almost 30 years, and this is the first time I've ever done this, so bear with me. Because of the public health concerns that arise out of the improvements that you all probably, like I said, it's not questions yet, it's questions. When you guys are going to do these, the sooner the better. Let me step up a little bit closer. Because of the health and safety concerns from these improvements, if we do not do these, your ability to provide safe and efficient water service, it's precarious. Because you could have a failure. From lead service lines, somebody could get harmed like in Flint, Michigan, although we take as much steps as we can. Or you're just gonna, your plants go down or your wells go down, you don't have enough water supply for everybody involved. I guess my question to you is, what would you find acceptable? I'm not sure. I hear a lot of, and I'm just your lawyer. I represent you. I represent the administration. Somebody tell me what you want us to do, and we'll try to make that happen.
Find acceptable.
Yes, please.
That we don't see a.
I'm your lawyer, so don't yell at me. Just tell me, okay?
We don't see, I want everybody to hear me. We don't see quoted to us a 30 or 25% increase in usage over the matter of months.
When we were told about the water usage issues when they were asking for ARPA funds for this, the average daily usage was in the 8 millions. Now, we're told it's in between 11 and 12 million. So that seems to be some sort of inflated number, and we don't know why. Because Nestle's use has gone down. Secondly, I want to see a perpetual improvement of the infrastructure of specifically the leakage and how that affects what we need to produce. And lastly, I would say I'd like to see a great reduction in the 16.3% fees that we would be paying to get, well, we get to it. This, well, I think we're going to pay 16.3% in fees and insurance to get the amount of money that we were going to get. So when you're talking about,
You mean about soft costs, John? Is that what you're talking, when we issue the bond? You're talking about bond costs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which has been a main concern of mine since I sat in this chair 7 years ago. I mean, the city's going to pay $3+ million in soft costs to get not to go into debt, and so it doesn't taste good. So, you know, and then we need to see some sort of accountability, or, you know, how does this work? Maybe we only give you phase one, and then you come back to the council for phase two. How much money does phase one cost? How much are those costs?
Well,
So there needs to be some creative thinking.
How do you think we bridge this gap? Because we'll have to redo the accounting anyway now. If we can answer, so how do we bridge this gap? How do we reach an accommodation that everybody can, enough people can, this is important for the community. So we need to figure out a way that you guys can support this. And that's why I'm standing here before you. What do you need me to do? What can I do to facilitate bridging the
Last
gap?
thing that I didn't mention, and Councilman Madison mentioned this, I think we've, in council and budget meetings, have offered to fund an active grant writing position in our city government, which I don't think we have someone whose full-time job is to pursue grants, or maybe even just grants regarding utility. Needs to be looked at. Because now we're putting the cart ahead of the horse when we're wanting all this money, and then we're saying, well, maybe we don't. It might be grants.
I will tell you, you may need a grant writer for, and I don't know how far you guys want me to go. I just want to figure out a mechanism where we can address your concerns and still get these improvements done. But I will tell you, from a grant perspective, on the utility side, you probably do not need that. The SRF, it's one-stop shopping right now for utility grants for the next 3 or 4 years. And your engineer is really good at it. They've been your engineer for decades. I'm kind of Johnny-come-lately when it comes to your professionals. You've had people here doing your work for decades. But they will be able to put an application in, and but you may need a grant writer at a city level. That's up to you guys too.
With just exactly what you just said, I guess my thing is, so if we had passed this tonight and then you got that money, then okay, that would be great, because now you're still gonna be able to take the, raise our water utility rates, but you also have grants, so you have more money. Instead, I feel like that's the cart before the horse. Like, why not figure out those grants and get some of that money? And then if there's not enough money, then say, hey, we started this project, and here we are, and now, we're gonna have to raise $1. We're gonna have to raise, because we don't need to raise $6 because we did get enough grants. And wouldn't that be great to have that information before us? And I'm not privy to all of the, frankly, here's the, you keep saying you're our lawyer, but you've never called me and talked to me and had a conversation with me. And I can tell you that there are other people that we've done situations with where I have gotten a call and I've had a conversation one-on-one. So you're really not our lawyer, because if you were our lawyer, you probably would have at least called me or called John, or I don't know. talk to Councilman Freeman, but, I mean, this is the, and I was on Zoom the last time, so I didn't get to see his face, I couldn't make the other one, so, but.
Well, let me ask, I think you have a two-part question here, as I see it. The first part is, unfortunately, we cannot do that. Here's how this has to work. And it's a problem with the process. You guys pass the ordinance, we go file with the IURC. It takes 10 months to get in and out of the IURC. And the IURC will change your rates and tell us whether we can give us the authority to borrow money or not. If we wait and see what the grants are and then apply to the IURC, we will not close in time and the grants will go away. You have 1 year, we'll have until the end of next year, maybe March 31st of next year to use the grant. So if we wait until April or May, find out what grants we have and then start the process, we'll start the process, get done with the process, the grants will go away because they will expire by that time and we'll have to start it all over.
I guess my question to that is, we keep hearing this has been a 7-year process, so why wasn't that started 7 years ago?
It was. We have applied for multiple grants.
You just said it was, well, you just said that, like.
What we have applied, they gave away stimulus monies, what, 18 months ago? We applied for all of those. And we've been doing master plans and.
And we haven't seen any of that. If you've done that, we haven't seen it.
And here's.
That's the conversation that, I even brought this up for another situation, that you want us to do certain things, but, I mean, we're not privy to that. We don't have that information in front of us, so now it's almost like you're asking, because I get it, I understand what the argument is, 100%. But, again, you're asking for this information, and it's, you know, we were asked to pass it at the beginning of December, and it had to be done by December 23rd. So, I'm like, again, you didn't call me, you didn't sit down with John and I, you know, we didn't have a conversation. So, you want our trust, but you know, again, it's.
Well, and I represent the city, and so I represent the city as a whole. I don't even know who your lawyer is. I've never heard from your lawyer, and vice versa. I've never heard. So maybe the communication isn't the greatest, but I will tell you this: the way that this city is set up, and this isn't unusual. The Board of Works typically makes all the day-to-day decisions on how money's spent, what projects should be done, and then they make the two things that you get to do are approve the final rates and whether bonds should be issued or not.
You're 100% right there, but I guess that goes back to that whole thing, because I agree. We can't vote on the utility budget. I agree with all of that. There's been arguments back and forth, but I agree. I believe in the state law. That's something that is something that we can do. But again, sometimes there just has to be more communication. I've said this in other situations.
Well, I want to close the loop on that because I think that's a theme. Do you want to have? We can bring our engineers in and they can go through all of the master planning, go through all of the improvements. I can do that, or we can have a working group so that people can understand and report back to the council. How do we improve that? Or can you tell me how do we come to you? Do you want to set a special meeting and we go through all of this in great detail and the engineers will come in and talk about it?
Can they just post it online?
But the point that all you experts gotta understand is you're dealing with 3 people, David, drives from there and so. Like you said, more of the work is calling all the shots. He makes all the decisions. And you assume that everybody agrees with all his decisions. And that's why I brought up the condition of the city. When you come into a city and you're working with these higher officials and you're working with 2 or 3 people, go around and look inside the city and see what's being done and how that city looks. 50 years of neglect. You're gonna see poor workmanship. You're gonna see, codes not being enforced. And I'm not talking about being two or three things, I'm talking about the whole city looks like a junkyard. And it doesn't even look like nobody's in charge. And then here you come, I'm not you, but here we got this elaborate plan, we're gonna fix all the water and make it safe for everybody. This is not new. I've been sitting up here 7 years. My water was brown. I don't know how many years ago it was I called Mr. I tell him, and he told me, go on, drink it. It rust. I mean, iron is good. You know, so that's how you determine your leadership of the city. You don't have to be a rich city, but if you look around and look right and look like somebody in charge, then that puts more trust in us trusting what they're doing. But when I look around and contractors have doing stuff, don't know how to fill a pothole and can't enforce codes and we paying taxes on our homes. And even though it's $3 or whatever tax, we just had a safety tax last year. Before that, we had a referendum for the school. All these taxes are starting to add up now. My property taxes went up. And every little bit hurts. And the point I'm trying to make is you have to trust in your officials. When these contractors come in, and I've sat in meetings where they win these bids, and then a few months later they come back and they need more money because of more problems and whatnot. So what I'm trying to say is, those things need to be looked at. I get calls every day. That's why I can't be in no good mood every time I come up here, because somebody's cried to me about a code not being enforced. It's making people sick. We can't get the sidewalk fixed. We can't get the pothole filled right. These are the little things. If we can't do that, how in the world can we put all our trust in $100 million worth of water works? We can't fill potholes.
Well, hey, Ollie, you want to, I was going to respond to that.
Well, I want to know, how can I get in touch?
Here's my number, guys. 317-258-7827 is my cell phone. And watch this going. It's right on TV too. I'm going to get people calling me.
Oh, yeah, you're live.
Chris Janak, Janak. Janak. Here's my office number too, Ollie. That's
Keep that out of the comments.
317-684-5249.
David got it. 5249.
Yes. And here's, Rebecca, here's what I would say. I hear we're kicking the can again, guys, because nobody trusts and you have engineers who are good engineers. I've worked with them on all my 30 years of doing this. I've worked with your engineer and I've worked with your father. They do this all the time. They're telling me you're on the ragged edge. And we need to do something. So we got to figure this out. This isn't something we can just kick the can down the road. We got to figure this out. So somebody, I want you to tell me how I can fix this. So please do it.
Chris, you made a statement that you represent all of the city of Madison, which is the legislature, the county, and administration. Well, see, we was told by the current city attorney that he's here to represent the mayor. To serve as the
I had to get out of the stretch for a second.
You said you didn't know why we had an attorney just for the council.
Oh, no, I understand that. That happens from time
Well,
to
I
time.
know it, but do you understand why we had to go and get an attorney of our own?
Holly, I don't pretend to know everything that you guys have gone through, but I will tell you that this happens from time to time. Most of the time you have a single lawyer who represents the city as a whole, but that's not always the case. But when I represent the utility, I will go to the IURC, and the petition will not be on behalf of the Board of Works. It won't be on behalf of the mayor. It'll be on behalf of the city of Anderson.
But that's where it should be one unit.
Yeah, well, that's why, and I guess that's what I'm saying to you guys. We can't kick this down the road. We got to fix this. We got to address this. So tell me how we can address this. And I don't mean addressing this a year from now or 2 years from now. I mean, we need to fix this in the spring and move forward.
Can we not pay
We're gonna have
65
to redo
million?
the accounting, we're gonna have to do some stuff, but we need to start to develop a plan over the next 60 to 90 days.
You see, we don't need people talking.
I hope I'm not doing that, Artie. I hope I'm
We're
not.
co-equal branches of government.
Well, and let me just say this, I'm trying to fix in politics here. I get the whole thing. I get it. This isn't uncommon. Heck, your council and your, so, yeah.
Could we, two things, could we start like the phase one, get more aggressive on the tip and use the ARPA funds that we have, and then, see where we're at, like you said, get more aggressive with the funds and not do, and you don't even need our approval for that. You could start that right now and not do the bond right now.
Sure we can. And you mean have some more communication about issuing the bonds and stuff like, and what that all look? Absolutely we can. The problem is the.
Hold on. Greg, how much, hold on, just a second. Greg, how much is in the fund right now? How much? 30.
So you, as far as unencumbered funds, you've got about 33 million at this point. Tax draw, you'll be about 40.
And just, here's, and we can look at that, because this is
That's
what
what
you,
I guess that's my suggestion.
yeah, and just so you know,
Because then
on
it's
that.
not on the taxpayer's back.
Well, here's,
That's what we're getting complaints about. That's what Councilman Dixon is saying. That's what, others are saying. And that would be, in my opinion, because I think the TIF funds, he's exactly right. And this, in my opinion, is a good use for the ARPA funds. This is a good use for the TIF funds.
a personal concern, those are TIF dollars that were paid by in-town residents. So those are supposed to be used for the benefit of the
But
TIF
just, I'm
area.
saying this is for the benefit of the residents, so we have to fix this.
But-
From Detroit.
Let me finish though, Jennifer. You have a lot of out-of-town customers who should not benefit from the TIF funds. So we now have, that's why a lot of communities who have in-town and out-of-town customers do not use TIF funds to do repairs to their system, but only use it for economic development. Because customers who did not pay into that and who ought not benefit from it will benefit from it. But if that's what you get to decide, we're going to look over that, and that's something we can talk about. But
And we wouldn't even have to make it, that's out of our.
We built a whole police station with TIF money.
You have to come to the podium.
Well, no, this is
Rob,
not a
you can
public, this is
record
not
it.
a public.
You know, that-
this is not a-
but I don't want to poo-poo it. I don't want to poo-poo that, so if that's what you guys, we can look at stuff like that. Are you done with me? Okay, thank you.
And I will walk.
Let me clarify one thing, because I think both of you said this,
From the audience.
and you made a comment several times, and I agree. Councilman Bibbs asked that we do the state revolving loan fund grant the last time, which we did. We just didn't get it. And as Mr. Job just told you, Curry applies for this one, and they're an expert at doing that. We do have a lobbyist that files grants on behalf of the city every day. His name's Bill Hankey. He's been right here at this podium many times in front of this body to talk to you. He's on retainer every year. He signed a contract with us, and that's what his job is to write grants. He's responsible for writing grants for that bridge right out there. And he's wrote many, many grants for the city of Anderson. Bill Hankey.
Where could the council find copies of all these grants? Where can we get those?
I can put you in touch with Bill. I'm not gonna spit out his number like that.
You don't have them here at the city?
The grants? The last one he just got, I just told you was the grant,
Yeah, I know,
$13.5 million
I heard
for the bridge.
that.
up
The
there.
county said that they had something to do with that too. but
They did.
I'm talking about grants that he applies for every day. What grants has he been responsible?
The latest ones that he got was the latest two that we got for the cats. Bus station.
Okay, well, I just want to know. That-
And I think Doug has those in his office. Mr. Woodham.
Oh, he should have that information. Well, I'll check and see.
But we do have someone that writes grants, full time.
But see, that's another thing, I've never heard.
He stood right here at this podium, so.
Yeah, he came here and said something, but I want to see documents, I don't want anybody talking about what he's doing. I want to see.
I just, that was mentioned, I want to make sure for the record. that
Yeah.
Everybody
Okay,
understands.
well, I'll see what- We're gonna move on.
Madam President, motion.
Councilor Bell.
Motion to hear resolution 1422 for approval by the council.
Resolution 1422, a final confirmatory resolution designating an economic revitalization area for Tittman Realty Partners LLC. Legal notice was published in the Herald Bulletin under HB 824 and 11/24/2022.
Council President, members of the City Council, appreciate you hearing this opportunity. We do have Jason Branstetter behind me from Tittman. So I'll give him an opportunity to speak in just a few minutes, answer questions that you might have and or the audience. Just to refresh your memory, this is a project expansion of $31.8 million. 26 million of that being real property, 5.8 being personal property. Tittman currently has 70 employees. They have 13 openings that they're attempting to fill. This particular expansion will add an additional 20, giving them a total of 103 employees. With this expansion, they will reach just over $90 million of investment in our city. They completed an expansion this year, which you approved in 2021. So this will be an additional expansion on top of that. They're currently paying $514,000 a year in taxes. And it gets, we have a great deal of difficulty estimating one expansion that hasn't been assessed yet and another expansion coming in on top of that, how much are they going to be paying? It's somewhere in the neighborhood of $1 million is what they'll end up paying with this abatement. This abatement will save them approximately $20,000 a month, or a year rather, or for a total of $140,000 in savings over the life of 7-year abatement. With that, I'll turn it over to Jason and let him answer questions that you might have. Or
Good evening, Jason Branstetter, Interstate Warehousing. Greg's done a great job of introducing the project. We came here 4 years ago. The community has been phenomenal. Our growth has exceeded all expectations we could possibly have. This was probably a 10 or 12-year plan. We wanted to build up to 1 million square feet. And if we do this phase, we'll work on phase 3, which what we're talking about today, that will put us over 600,000 square foot. So we're more than halfway there in a little under 4 or 5 years. So it's been a great opportunity for us. It's a great building. It's actually become one of our showpieces. We invite people from around the country in, walk them through this building, introduce them to Anderson. We have a lot of food companies that come here and see that. That's for you guys, that's a great opportunity. We tend to bring industries to us, especially in the food where we build. They tend to build around us because we offer that storage too. We have a lot of all across the country. We're a family-owned business. I've been doing it for 50 years, and I'm here to answer any questions that you would have. Thank you.
Any questions from the audience? Questions, you call.
Counselor Bell.
Yes.
Counselor Cole.
Yes.
Counselor Freeman.
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs.
Yes.
Counselor Muir.
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson.
Yes.
Counselor Dixon.
Yes.
Counselor Newman.
Yes.
President Cruz.
Resolution 14, Madam President, I'd like to bring to the council resolution 1622.
Resolution 15-22, the final confirmatory resolution designating the economic revitalization area for Tittman Realty Partners LLC. Legal notice published in the Herald Bulletin under HB 823, 11/24/2022.
So obviously the same project, but this is for the real property. What you just approved was for the equipment, $5.8 million.
Okay, guys, we are
This is for the $26 million.
running really low on battery. I'm gonna end up coming
And
off
again,
of this thing.
it's difficult. I know that Ken mentioned to me that he talked with Larry yesterday. We wrote the article regarding Nestle in the newspaper. It's very difficult to estimate what one expansion that hasn't been assessed is going to do with another expansion on top of it. But our best estimate is that this will save approximately $26,000 a year in taxes for a total of $186,000 in savings. And again, we anticipate that their current figure of a little over $500,000 a year in taxes is going to end up, by the time both of these expansions are assessed, being somewhere in the neighborhood of $1 million to $1.1 million in annual taxes. So arguably, it's worth at least $3 million to this community over the course of the next 10 years. Questions?
I do not. I'm based out of our corporates in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Any other questions from the council? Any questions from the audience? Seeing none, questions being called.
Counselor Bell.
Yes.
Counselor Cole.
Yes.
Counselor Freeman.
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs.
Yes.
Counselor Muir.
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson.
Yes.
Counselor Dixon.
Yes.
Counselor Newman.
Yes.
President Cruz.
Thank you, council.
Thank you.
Madam President, I'd ask for the introduction of resolution 1622.
Resolution 16-22.
Guys, we're gonna hop off of here because my battery is about dead. Definitely appreciate y'all watching here, okay? We streamed this for almost 3 hours, or 2 hours,
Council
2.5
President, members of the
hours.
City Council, we do have 3 members of the Nestle Corporation here with us
Hang
this
on.
evening.
Nope, actually, we're
They're
staying
listening to
here.
Some of the conversation, taking notes. So I wanted them to hear some of the issues that this community faces. And be
We'll write it
aware of
down until it
those
dies.
as we present this opportunity to you. So Thomas Wonderlock, who is the plant manager. We have Hillary Shute, who is responsible for all of the Nestle tax abatement process across the country. And we have Joanne Wood, who's here representing corporate Nestle out of Arlington, Virginia. So I'll give you a chance to meet them here in a few seconds, but let me kind of sum up the project very quickly. So Nestle currently has 794 employees. They have a total of 24 openings currently. This project will add an additional 68 employees, bringing their employee count to 862 employees. You want to note that their wage, average wage, approaches $88,000 a year. So these are very good paying jobs. Tittman, by the way, was 54 on the mean, and a little higher on the average. So these are both companies, excellent companies, paying great wages, great benefits. With this $460 million investment, they will approach $1.6 billion invested in our community. $1.6 billion. I can tell you, and Rick, I shared this with you, as far as just an overall analysis, they paid over $70 million in property taxes since they've been here. The biggest part of that has happened over the last 5 to 6 years. as they slowly built up their investment in our community. 70 million since they've been here. And like I said, the biggest part of that has been over the last 5, 6, 7 years. They're currently paying a little over $7 million a year in property taxes, which makes them the largest property tax client in Madison County that we have, certainly the largest in the city of Anderson. And by the way, at least since I've been around, this is the single largest investment that we've seen. This investment will go to replace their existing lines. They're going to modernize. They're going to add, I believe, one line that will give them additional flexibility. But the majority of this will go to replace their existing lines, 400 million. 60 million of this is real property, and I'll let the plant manager share with you how those dollars are going to be used. And I very much appreciate John, Jennifer, and others who've had good things to say about Nestle. They, in many ways, started the redevelopment of this community. And many of the companies that we have now came because they saw the Nestle sign there. And they knew they could trust this community. They knew they could trust our utilities. They knew they could trust our people. So Nestle kind of paved the way in that regard. So this is very near and dear to my heart, and I suspect it is to yours as well. So this particular request is to set the place, date, and time to hear an abatement request for 7 years, 70% for the $400 million in personal property investment. And with that, I'm going to ask the Nestle team to come up and talk a little bit before we proceed. So Thomas Wonderlux, plant manager.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
My name is Thomas Wonderlich. I'm the factory manager with the Nestle plant units. So, and we had as well opportunity to have some of you as well this week over. So I've been here for about 2 years, and my main role is really to develop a long-term plan for a site like we have. It has been, just based on my assessment as well, like since the opening, a lot of change that we brought to the community, and we want to continue that. I think this is, for us, a very important plant. 50% of our employees are from the county here. And I shared as well last week, I think from my perspective, for me, it is always very important that we continue building long-term talent as well. Right? We have several activities going on as well with Anderson itself to further develop talent that we hopefully can introduce to our processes. The proposal that Greg presented is mentioned, right? So there's a lot of technology that we're upgrading from really water optimization. I heard a lot about that today, obviously. A lot of technology that we're implementing in order to make us as well in the future long-term sustainable and as well really competitive within the food industry. Make sure we can remain in Anderson and continue to grow. Again, it's a pretty significant investment, which will really allow us to have a very strong standing. Can I open it up to questions? I'm sure you have some from me. Yes.
Yeah, you say 50% of your employees are from this community?
From Madison County.
From Madison County.
27% here from Anderson. Right. 27% from Anderson here right now.
What percentage of minority do you have any idea?
Yeah, between 20 and 25% in factory currently. But it is always a priority for me and as well for Nestle in general to grow that. We have been focusing.
Somewhere between 25 and 27.
Yeah, yes.
I just want to thank you for your hospitality on Monday. I learned a lot, and I appreciate hoping to make that more of a routine thing.
Absolutely. We're planning to do that. Thank you for the invite.
I just appreciated the conversation and the tour. That was my first time there. I've never been there before, and it was incredible. I just came home and I immediately sent pictures to my parents because they're from Anderson. So just, and I think too, I think the thing that really kind of stopped me in my tracks was like talking to several of the employees, and it wasn't like, you're like, okay, you're coming in, you're coming in, you're coming in. It wasn't like scripted. They just have to be out working and stopping and talking. And how happy they are to be working there. And they want to tell us, like, I've been here, such and such amount of time. But then the other thing I want to add is the programs that you have working with the schools was, as again, somebody who's worked with the schools, worked with kids who are going into the trades. That was incredible to me, and I already reached out to the crossing, people at the crossing, I've talked to Clayton, who has, their names, because I would love to get them connected. But anyway, what you're doing with just individuals within the community and helping these kids understand that they have a path and how valuable they are within our community. And then it keeps these young people in our community, which is going to continue to help it grow. So that's what I was.
That's pretty awesome.
Appreciate it, Jennifer. And again, from my perspective, it has always been a major priority really to develop. And again, this is a personal passion for me to really develop these new programs. We're certifying new apprenticeship programs with the schools, really to take high school kids, show them their career path as well and develop them from there. So that's really what we're going to appreciate that.
Any other questions?
I have a question. First of all, let me thank you.
State your name again.
Sandra Baines. Let me thank you. My qualms when I mentioned Nestle, that's nothing to do with Nestle. My qualms when I mentioned Nestle, as